I'm going to have two ghost stories. Here is two of them. For the first one, I will hold you partly till you can walk strong. Then my little baby will be gone and strong man. And then the sweet mother will rejoice for so long. Age arms crested a soft child as the song was hummed with a raspy voice. The child, stumbling as his mother slowly put him down into the crib. Sunlight streamed into the room, flooding the wooden working chairs, the body-sized mirror, and the sleeping baby in a golden wealth. The woman who had graying hair and soft, fragile features walked slowly around the room. Her white sundress flows behind her. She had her right arm over her stomach and her left elbow on top of that. Her head reached up towards her mouth. Three fingers were put on her lips, and the prickly and thumb crossed over the palm and touched softly as she walked around. She touched each and every single toy that were on the small dresser. Smiling, she turned back she, to the crib, walked over gently. The baby was sighing, still sleeping, putting her three fingers on the baby's forehead. She rubbed them up to the top of his head. She was silent as she scared as the baby. This was her baby, her last one. Little Richard, she loved the name. That was the name of her firstborn. The one that had died when he was 2 months old. Since then, she had three other children. Starting, she turned and went out of the room. She grabbed a small book from the bookshelf in the hallway and headed towards the kitchen, putting the book on the oak table. She sat down the floorboard of the old, cracking the room was dusty and most of the kitchen was untouched. Almost struck in time long ago, as she set her eyes watched over the dusty it yesterday. She had dusted it yesterday and swept the floor and swept the cabins, shutting it off. She opened the book, which was a photo album. Her mind was whisked away into the yellowing picture before her. Smiling faces, birthday parties, an old picture of the family covered the 60 page. The crack and pop January, when the wearer turned, she looked at each one. One was of a young boy with blond hair and big eyes. He had only a diaper. She giggled, for this was her little Richard. The second child was a little young girl. She wore a little white dress and held a small teddy bear. Little Anna, the woman for the where was a little Anna now. She didn't remember seeing her around. She turned to a different page, and another little girl smiled. Up at her, little Emma again, another town, and again a child. This one was little Donald. As she turned the page again, her heart raced and started to race. Where were these kids? She stopped out a picture and cold-hearted cleared her heart, let out loud gasp. She pushed the book off the table and stood her breathing become shorter. The patio album covered the floors. Two police officers stood in the picture with body bags and a woman who whispered too much of her was handcuffed, bloody, and angry. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Running towards the baby's room, she was in and dodged for the crib, grabbing the railing. She took down only to let out a raspy scream. Instead of a baby was a thing of rotting flesh. And Vel, smelling the kill, the mother felt her hands and body go numb. Suddenly she looked down. Her hands, dry blood covered every inch of them. Looking down, she eyed her cousin when well covered with a calcium skin. She notices more coming from the hallway. Finally, she followed the bloody Ted back into the kitchen. Her fallen Albin still laid face down, but everything had changed. Dishes were all over the floor. The table was overturned. Fridge door was open, and three little children lay dead on the ground, bathing in crimson. Powders and knives lay with them. The mother tried to scream, but only an apologies shriek came out, shaking her head and waving her hands. She started to back up, only to founder and trap over something sold and stiffed. Looking at it, fear filled her eyes. There she was, her own body laying, a gun in one hand and a note in another. Suddenly she picked up the note and read it. The words of a sweet lullaby rang out like white noise. Throwing it down in fear, she jumped into her feet and rushed back to the baby's room. Throwing herself into the corner, she covered her face and sobbed, walking back and forth. She remembered in her pain and agony, she remembered everything. She walked into the living room where three children laid there were watching Saturday morning cartoons. All the morning she had been drinking, and her own self-control was lower than low today. She hadn't taken the medication yet. They argued her. She hadn't even showered. Water was always too hot. She hasn't done anything walking into the kitchen. She grabbed a plate out of nowhere, threw it on the ground. Looking when her vision started to fade in and out, a silhouette of child cried out from the back of her house. The crying made her head hurt, and she wanted to stop. She went down the hallway and into the baby's room. The baby screamed more and more, scurried around to the crib. The agony had even more looking around. She tried to find a way to make the baby stop by finding nothing. She just stared at it and it screamed again and again, and then she lurched to put her little hands around the children's neck and screeched, yelling and begging for it to stop. After the child deliberately stopped, the mother backed away. The baby's mouth was covered in blood, and so were her hands. But that didn't stop her outrage. She ran down the hallway and into the kitchen where she honestly had taken a knife. Okay. Out from the door, its silver glaring in the dim light that shone stone through the window, who owned 3 children, fell to their feet, letting out gasps of terror, and his mother ran into the living room, her eyes wide and her knuckles wide, and she cleared the knife. She ran toward them, making them run into the kitchen to attempt to get away from the authority. She was able to grab Donald. He screamed and cried, but his mother looked no heed to him and stabbed him into the chest. 3 times blood squirted and landed on the wooden floor, turning the chopper belt very red. His other children had hid in the corner. The mother stared in the eye, but each children, the TV was just a constant dome in the back of her mind, and she pointed to Anna, back moaning for her to come. Anna shook her head and struck down further into the corner, praying that she disappeared from the nightmare. Emma stared at her little brother's dead body. The mother got angry again and tried to demand her forward her voice high and starting this time Anna scared no. The mother saw and lunged forward, throwing Emma out of the way, and grabbed Anna, stabbed her 3 times. More blood squirted, running all over the walls and into Emma. Emma fell to the ground, sobbing and crying, "Mommy, no, please." No, but of course. The mother grabbed Emma and stabbed her 3 times, the screaming her head. After the blood had spurted from her daughter's stomach, the mother raced around the kitchen, destroying everything to her range. She flipped over the table and started to throw the dishes out. Of the cupboards, she opened fridge and threw all the food around. After she had stopped, the mother looked around. She dropped the knife and severed herself. With loud gasps and moans of distress and anguish, she walked to her room where a gun was hidden to the top drawer of the dresser. Sitting in the bed, she cried and screamed, punching the mattress. After an hour or so of crying, She grabbed the gun and I walked to the kitchen, a note in her hand. Carefully, she dragged her precious babies one of the living room and placed them in the kitchen. They laid before the overturned table one last meal with the babies. She decided standing over them. She carefully placed one bullet in the barrel of the gun, looking into the black hole of suffocation. She began to sing her finger of Tigger, my sweet baby, oh flesh and pure. I see nothing sweeter than my baby before. I will hold you proudly till you can walk strong. Then my little baby we gone, a strong man, and then the sweet mother will rejoin for so long. Pop, the gun did not hurt her head. Wow, amazing story. What's up, RP everyone? That's the first story. I got one more ghost story. How you guys doing? You guys doing good? Let me see. Hey, Krista, Sonia G, Angel. Everyone in the chat, thanks. That's number 2 coming up now. It's called Like Him. It was a car crash that killed them, my aunt and grandfather. She was driving him back to the nursing home while my grandmother was waiting. I wasn't close with them. We don't speak to my mother family unless there's a funeral or secret holidays. I need you to go to the farm and clean up the house to get it ready for sale. Mom says through the phone, Mom, please shut it. I can go back there. She never asked me to do anything for her, which makes saying no to this one request impossible. The estate lawyer can meet you with, and she will deal with everything. Thank you, Charlotte. Then she hangs up. I call my brother and leave a message. He never answers when I call, but then again, I don't answer when he calls. You should say our family this Friday. I think they would be impressive. Mom never talks. He said, about her child. My aunt was high, starting easily scared. My mom is different, kind of nervous. The kid, the kind where she constantly checking over her shoulders, but she and her sister are not close, and now they never will be because my aunt is dead. It still feels weird to say or even think she did, but the worst part is that where the can ran over the wall, there were no brake mix on the pavement. The Western farmhouse has been in my mom's family since the Civil War. It's in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, where the closest neighbors are a mile and a half, and the currency is corn and pork. Thankfully, our family was never interested in starting pigs. They mostly dealt with the corn part of the farm when my car tumbled up the unpaved driveway. I fell in. Overwhelming scenes of drill fall over me. I was 7 the last time we were here, and my brother was 9. My mom had been crying, but not before we left. But Dad told her we had to go, so we all packed up into the car, drove the 8 hours to the farmhouse. Mom didn't speak the whole time. My aunt was already there, and she was on her third glass of vodka with a pink tag in her cheeks, and her eyes were wide and unblinking. My grandparents were sitting in the living room, silent and still. My brother and I ran around through the fields to get away from the snitch of the house. When I came up, a small golden locket laying in an on-farm patch of dirty dirt by the property line. I picked it up, waved to my brother's face before running back to the house to show off my treasure. I headed to my mom, who nearly passed out at the sight of the worst necklace in my open palm. But when my grandfather saw it, he snatched it out of my hand, grabbed me by the shoulder, and shook me with shouting, "Little brats have no business smooching through my things." Mom put him away from me, and then he slapped her. My aunt screamed and dropped her glass. We got right back into the car and drove home. That was the last time I was on the Western farm. I locked my car door and made my way up to the broken down front door. The screen cracks as I pull it open and enter the dark, abandoned home. It smells like dust and Western iron. All the remaining furniture is covered in a sheet and the windows have been nailed shut. There's a card on the dashing room table. It's the name of the lover and a note that I should call her when I get there. There's no cell service on here, so I have to use the water phone hanging in the kitchen. Hi, Alicia. This is Solid Ness. I'm the granddaughter of Thomas Wilson, who just passed away. Hi, Charlotte. I spoke to your mom, Eleanor's. I'm so sorry for your loss. How are you? I'm shocked that anyone would be sorry that Thomas Wilson is dead. I know my mom isn't a tether lower. We won't be keeping anything from the house, and we intend to sell it. All when we hang up, she says she'll be at the house in 2 days. And the meantime, I should look at everything in the home and appraise it. I take a long glance around myself. The kitchen probably hasn't been used in months. I meant to make myself a small dinner which I can eat alone on the back porch. The sun sits over the cornfields, leaving the old house in a nice light. It almost makes me with I spend more time up here almost. My uncle died when I was 9, and my aunt had been spending a lot of time in Western Farm. It was sudden. He fell down the stairs into the basement while my aunt and grandfather was out grocery shopping. They got back to the farm and found his body swirling on the cement of the unfinished basement in the pool of his own blood, and grandmother was upstairs in bed. My mom refused to go to the funeral. I think that was the first time. Pardon, sorry. I think that was the first major rift between them. My brother and I stood over his casket while they burned him in the local cemetery nearby the farm. We left straight after the burial. My father didn't let go of our hands the entire time. I was up until 2 in the morning going through the house and checking prices on my computer, seeing how much we could get for the Manjori dining set, the coffee tables, and the old couch. They're second noted on nearly everything on the first floor, but the time I'm ready to sleep, once the sun finally rises, I'm already awake and exhausted, of course. There's no coffin in the house, so I decided to take a drive through town to find a coffee shop. But the coffee shop was a meaning too high for the place, so I had to settle for gas station coffee. Rough night, the girl at the register asked as I hand to my credit card. A shift as note, you could say that I need an ID to check against the credit card. She tells me it's store policy. Sorry, I know it's weird. All I can do is shrug at as I had her my license and her eyes widened when she looked at it. You related to the Thomas and Manson vision. I looked at her shocked. The girl couldn't be older than 20. I'm 5 years her senior. How does she know me, my family? Huh, yeah, I'm the great granddaughter. We wasn't close too. He lips tightened into the line. I don't want to peer, but are the rumors true? She whispers as through she does told me a secret. What rumors? I ask, the same tone. About the girls, she answers and hands me my coffee. I don't know what you talking about. Sorry, she smiled sadly. There are less town rumors about you grandparents and you know all the mess in you family. I felt sudden surge of anger. Little brats, can I have my card back? I'm demanding more than X. The girl nods. Of course, here she hands it to me, and before she can ask anything, all the already pointed questions, I walked out of the gas station, back to my car, then I sat in the driveway for the farmhouse, crying for about 10 minutes until I mustered strength to go inside. There is no place tears in this house. My father died 11 years ago. I was 14. Our grandmother had just been put in the nursing home. Grandfather wouldn't join her for 3 years, 3 more years. Mom had refused to go visit her. She was admitted that no one of the family would be going up there. They argued a lot. It evident Dad was alone. He said when it's us in a nursing home, I would hope their children put aside their anger and difference to come. visit us. He died in a car accident on the way home. He fallen asleep behind the wheels. There was a high concentration of sleeping medication in my grandfather's tried to get mom to bury him alongside the other Christians, but my mom never returned those calls. No one from my mom's side was the funeral. There was no place for Christians at that funeral. I found the key in my grandmother's nightstand. It was only shining and mysterious. I found the key. It doesn't fit anything in the house. Maybe it's for safe deposit box. Can you call me back, please, at the landline? My cell isn't working here. I said to my mom's voicemail. It was few hours before she called back to say that there was no safe deposit box for anyone in our family. I continued going through everything upstairs and saved distant amount of my grandmother's clothes to bring to the nursing home. I took all the photos of the frames and unplugged it. Every lamp, all the beds were stopped with every sheet and blankets folded. The house was full of notes with price range from the bed frame dressers, nightstands, and old jewelry, but really we don't care how much it says for we just want it gone. The key stayed in the back of my mind, so I put my grandmother's box clothes into the back of the car and looking carefully at an old world map made by way to the nursing home. I followed a woman named Lisa down a hall into a small corner room that was flooded with light women with a neat gray bird running down her back was sitting in a chair by a window. Looking at her hand, Mason, you have a visitor. Lisa nodded forward and set the box of clothes at the end of the bed and set into the box. Huh, gee, Grandma. Mason looked up panicky, but she seemed to stare through me. Eleanor, she whispered, people have always said I look like my mom. I have a box for you closing here. I pulled an old sweater and it lay on her top. She picks it up and runs her hands through the fabric. Eleanor, Marvin says again, but I just shook my hand. My mom isn't her grandma. I'm your granddaughter. Charlotte, do you remember me? She doesn't respond, and I have to remind myself not to get upset. Why would she remember? I don't even recognize the woman, and I'm 25 with a peaceful, healthy memory. With a deep breath, I pulled the key out of my pocket and held it out of her to see. I found the key while I was cleaning with horse house. Where does the key go? Something changed her face. Okay. With a deep, I pulled the key out of the, let's see, see, I found the key while I was cleaning your house. Where does the key go? There's something changes her face, contorts her and start making, and she pushes the sweater off her lap, her and snap up. She looks at me, really looks me. Little brats have no business through my things. But she doesn't yell. She's not like her husband. She hates deeply and shoved my hand away for her. They would be like him. They would never be like him. Then she knows names, most of which I don't catch. Cheryl, Carrie Stone, Lucy Ann, Oliver, Maria. She starts walking back and forth in her chair, her mouth moving faster, the name getting crazier. Maureen read, "That's the key goal." I asked again, a little too louder, as if your volume was the problem. She looks at me and her face soft. I can never tell a soul the attic is safe. Eleanor, she stops moving and reach her hand out to brush my cheek. He will never be like him. Knock, knock. Lisa responds to the doorway. How it's going? Or she rushes over to my grandmother's and puts a hand on her shoulder. Maureen, Maureen, you okay? She shouts something into the hallway, and a man appears. He takes over Lisa's spot, who turns to me, so excited. You should leave. I don't need to be told twice. Is she always like that? I asked Lisa, who nods. She actually gotten a little bitter since her husband, your grandfather, passed. Can I ask why was my grandfather out of the home? Lisa climbs up my crescent and in first place, you I can ask why my grandfather out of a home. Lisa climbs up and crescent in her first place. You speak to our low. If you like, her voice is clipped, and I try to show my shock at the sudden change in tone. No, that wasn't be necessary. Did he leave on your own, or did Aunt text him out of the day? Lisa looks extreme uncomfortable. I really shouldn't. Please, she signs you and check him out. We told her it wasn't a good idea, but she was instant. She said was only family business. He needed to attend. She was driving him back to the home when they got in the accident. I'm very sorry. Thank you. My aunt had son. He was a young when he died. It had been a Western farm and he shifted to his sleep. They said it was SIDS. I was 4. We never spent another night in my grandparents' place. The house looks thus inviting the afternoon, and it did yesterday. The attic is saved. There was, she said, but there is no attic. I trekked upstairs in the second floor and go in room by room. I watched the ceiling looking for a pull down ladder. It's not until I get to the grandparents' closet that I find what I'm looking for. I pulled an old chair and hooked my finger on a small loop, brings a ladder crashing down, nearly knocked me out. My stomach dropped. Then in the attic, I take my phone with me and turn the flashlight before explaining the cracking work of the ladder. Once my head breaks through the dark space, I'm overwhelmed by the smell of bleach. I have to steady myself to stop the pounding to my head. I smell a small metal rope hits my cheeks, and I put it into to put pull it to turn on the single light bulb. the space, there are no windows and is very small and cramped. So I have to crank my neck to keep from hitting the ceiling. On the floor, there are three boxes, and I can see in the dust old fingerprints, which shows that someone has been up here in the last year. Upon of the boxes told me and opened it, there's nothing but clothing in it, which looks like it could have belonged to my mother or aunt, based on the standing the jeans are from an old band I never had ever heard of, and all the shirts are chopped, but at the bottom of the box there's an old metal chain with a clip at the end, covered in something that looks suspicious like blood. I have to swallow the vomit, making its way up my throat. The second box has a rusty pair of pliers sitting atop an old dresser from the town that tells stories of missing girls. Sarah, Casey, Steph, Sophia, Lucy, Anna, Oliver, and Maria. The box contains a small safe with a keyhole to protect the contents. My heart pounds against my ribs and I pull the small key from the pocket. When my brother was 6, he lost his first tooth. Blood was streaming down on his chin as he pounded rain to my mom and put the tooth in her open palm. She dropped it and screamed. My father had to come home from work after my pagan brother called him. Mom stayed in the room for 3 days. After that, we told that the tooth fairy doesn't come in our house, and that was the lost tooth. We should the store it out and tell Dad about it later. The small metal safe pops open after I cracked the old key into it. My heart stops, my chest, and everything goes cold. Tooth, hundreds of teeth, they rattled around. My hands suddenly dropped box in the floor. The attic is safe. Oh my God, is all I can muster. Waves of nausea are rolling over me. Attic bleach, chains closing, the old locket, newspaper, pliers, teeth, all those teeth. I felt like I could pass out because suddenly it makes me sense. My mom and grew up in fear, faithfully the father. The father would bring girls home whose faces then showed up the paper the next week. The father would keep jewelry around the house that he had never bought. The father would murder all those girls. A small valley jewelry bag fell out and landed beside my leg. I gently opened the bag and out into my palm, tumbling three things: two wedding bands and a small baby rattle. They would not be like him. They would never be like him. One of the wedding bands is straining similar to my mom's, turning it to my hand. I looked for the market, the engaged words I used to read over and over. My father's ring to my husband, love Eleanor. Eleanor, he would never be like him. My father, my uncle, my baby cousin would never be like him. They would never be like Thomas Winston because Marion made sure they would never have the chance. Well, guys, thank you guys for coming. And thank you guys. You guys, you take it easy. If we have more ghost stories coming up, you take it easy. Bye-bye.